Hi, I'm Reverend Wendy Craig-Purcell here at the Unity Center in San Diego. Thank you so much for watching today. If you'd like to support the work that we do here, please consider making a contribution. Go to our website. It's easy to do. Thank you in advance for that contribution.
Reverend Wendy presents a talk that explores and expresses the truths of unity, and that there are real-world practical things that we can do to deepen our experience of spirituality and help us in our daily lives.
Several months ago, as I was thinking about, all right, so Christmas is coming up. I need to give some thought to what do I want to talk about during the month of December? And sometimes it's a little bit difficult because I'm usually writing and thinking about my December messages in about July or August. And it takes a little bit. Sometimes in years past, I put on Christmas music to try to get kind of in the groove and the feel. And other times I'll ask friends or colleagues or our staff members, anything that you think about that might be a special focus for the month of December. And Kim Kennedy, one of our staff members, said, when I think of Christmas or I think of December, I think of the importance of connecting. And I thought, wow, connecting with God, connecting with others, connecting with our calling, our higher purpose. And there it was, a beautiful, simple little series on the idea of connecting. And this morning I want to focus on connecting with what really matters. I believe that we have in our society today a real hunger for connecting with others, for connecting with life purpose, for connecting with what really matters. And so what is that, and how do we approach that? How do we make sure that we are living our lives on purpose? You know, from time to time, as a minister, I'm called upon to hold memorial services. Usually in Unity, we call them celebrations of life. And in fact, today, later on this afternoon, I will be holding a celebration of life service for a woman who has only been with us in our community for a short period of time. I didn't know her well. She made her transition just about a week ago, I believe it was, in her about mid-30s, stage 4 cancer. And what I know is that a celebration of life service is absolutely about honoring and remembering the individual who has passed. It is about providing some measure of comfort to the family and the loved ones that are experiencing the tenderness and the reality of loss and helping with that. But there's something else that happens in a memorial service. And in all the ones I have done over the years, it always happens. You can see it and recognize it in people's body language and on their faces. And what happens is it's almost as if there is a pulling together with great clarity and focus around looking at what really matters to the individual in their life. There's nothing like the thought of our own mortality to force us, in the midst of the busyness of and regularity of our lives, to look at and to ask ourselves, am I living my life on purpose? Am I aware of what really matters to me? And then comparing the way I'm living with what I say really matters. Mahatma Gandhi said, action expresses priorities. Those are 3 words, but so important, so wise, so right. Actions express our priorities. It's one thing to say we know what really matters, and that's a really important starting point for us, right? To be clear on what really matters to us. But it's not enough just to be clear on what really matters to us. We must be constructing our lives around that to the fullest extent we possibly can. And that's what Gandhi's pointing to when he said actions express our priorities. Jesus, our teacher and way shower, actually demonstrated and spoke to this very idea in a very ordinary situation in his life. He was visiting some friends of his, Mary and Martha, and something happened in that visitation in which his teaching was a teaching about the idea of being clear on what really matters and following through with what really matters. I want to read the story to you, then I want to give you some context, and then I want to share with you what I think it really means and how we can apply it. This is as it's recorded in the Gospel of Luke. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." In that exchange of Jesus to Martha, and Mary's there hearing what's going on, he is very clearly talking about being aware of what really matters and being connected to what really matters. Jesus, with Martha and Mary, was in a situation that was a very common situation in that culture. It was expected that when even a stranger, and certainly a friend, came to the home, that you made a meal, that you opened your heart, you opened the doors, whether you were expecting them or not, and you welcomed them in and you prepared a meal. And so Martha was doing exactly what was expected of her. She was acting absolutely within her culture, not only insofar as preparing the meal, but it was also her role as the woman to be preparing the meal. But she's upset because her sister Mary, who also knows what the culture is and also knows that she should be helping Martha in the kitchen, according to the culture and the sexual roles, Mary's not doing her fair share. And Martha's not too happy about that. Can you relate to that at all? And so what does Martha do? She speaks up. That's a very good thing. She speaks up and she says to Jesus, "Tell her to help me. Tell her to help me." Mary is where? She's sitting at the feet of Jesus. You may or may not be aware how unusual that was. It was unusual because it would only be a disciple that would sit at the feet of a teacher such as Jesus was looked upon being. And a disciple would be of what gender? Male. So not only was Mary not helping Martha in the kitchen, Mary was also not acting like she should as a woman in that culture at that time. And yet Jesus doesn't say to Mary, "Get up and go help your sister." He doesn't say that. He says, "Martha, Martha." He's kind of chiding her. You get that? "Martha, Martha, you're worried and distracted about so many things. Your sister Mary has chosen the good part. Your sister Mary has chosen what is right, and it will not be taken away from her." Do you ever wonder what Martha must have been thinking after that? I think Martha could have been a little miffed. Maybe she stomped off into the kitchen, throwing her dish towel down, and thought, "Okay, as soon as he leaves, I'm going to have it with Mary." We don't know what happened. I'd love to know. I'd love to know the human side of that. But Jesus is very clearly saying that Mary has chosen the right part. Mary has got what really matters in this context and this situation. And yet we can look at Martha and we can say, "But wait a minute. There are responsibilities we have in life." How many of you are still at a place in your life where you've got to work to earn a living, to put a roof over your house and food on the table? Not that many. Are that many of you retired? Then how come you're not volunteering here at the church? How many of you are still working? Okay, that's most of us. That's most of us in this room, right? So there's a certain Martha aspect to our lives and that we have to fulfill. There's a certain Martha aspect to our lives that we have to fulfill. However, it's really an important distinction to get that Jesus didn't tell Martha she couldn't fix the meal. Jesus didn't criticize what Martha was doing. He was trying to correct how she was doing it. You are worried and distracted about many things. Your sister Mary has chosen, your sister Mary has seen, your sister Mary has recognized what matters. He didn't say, don't go fix the meal. What we can conclude he was getting at was it was less about what Mary was doing, what Martha was doing, less about what Martha was doing, but the energy with which she was doing it. She was distracted by the lesser. If we allow ourselves to be consistently distracted by the lesser in our lives, we will never make room for the greater. The only way for us to really live a life very much on purpose is to first clearly know what really matters to us, and then making sure that the way we live our life is congruent with that. And what will be required of us is learning how to say no to some things so that we can give a strong, enthusiastic yes to the things that really matter. And when we give a strong, enthusiastic yes to the things that really matter in the quality of our life, we're going to find our life works so much better and we are so much happier. And I dare say that we're going to be healthier as well. What really matters when it all is said and done? As I asked myself that question, there were 4 things that came to me that really matter to me. And I'm going to speak about 3 of them today and 1 next week. The 4 things that came to me that really matter to me are the people I love. You're going to have to come back next week because that's the one I'm doing next week. But that's absolutely at the top of my list. And I bet it's at the top of your list as well. What is also on my list are the memories that I'm making and the memories that I've made. What is also at the top of my list are the experiences that I am cultivating. And also on that list are the lessons that I am learning. My sharing what's on my list might kind of prime the pump for you to make sure that you write out your own list, so that if you were sitting in a memorial service today and you were suddenly zeroing in on, oh my gosh, none of us ever really knows what day is our last day in physical form, that you would be pretty darn clear about what matters to you. And not only clear about it, your actions would support it. What memories are you making in your life? What memories are you making? I said this morning it might be interesting for us to put ourselves on a memory diet. And what I mean by that would be to spend a little bit of time actually thinking about and reflecting on the kinds of memories we have in our life that put a smile on our face and a warm feeling in our heart. So many of the things that we can experience in our life, so many of the memories we can make for ourselves and for others only cost creativity and some time. Very seldom is it about a whole lot of money. I can remember as I'm sitting looking at you, Jennifer, I can remember on a rainy day when you were a little girl. It must have been a Friday or a Saturday. And you wanted to go out and play in the rain. You wanted to run in our cul-de-sac in the rain. And you asked me to join you. And the minute Jennifer asked me to join her, I'm thinking of all the things that I need to be doing, and dancing in the rain was not on that list. I have a mind that works like that. Do you have a mind that works like that? I bet a lot of us do. And I am so glad that I've learned that just because my mind works like that does not mean the words like that have to come out of my mouth. I can be gatekeeper to that, and I can make a different choice. And I did. I said, okay, let's go out. It is after all these years, it is one of the sweetest, simplest, little fondest memories I have. And there are many memories I have. But I tell you that there's not a day that goes by when it's raining that I don't reminisce and think about walking out in our cul-de-sac, stomping in muddy puddles, getting my hair wet when I took the umbrella away. Do you see what I'm saying? When we're faced with the idea of, I'm not going to live in this body forever, our minds naturally go back to people in our lives that have made a difference, goes back to memories that put a smile on our face. And so what I'm saying is, make sure you collect those, but also make sure that you're creating some of them and that you savor them, When you think of the word savor, what do you think about? Huh? Yum. Associated with food, right? When I think of the word savor, I think of food. I think of a meal or a dessert or something. Ren, I think of I don't even know the name of the dish you made the other night, but it was so good. Escovitch. I don't even know what it is, but it was darn good. And I remember savoring that. But to savor something, whether it's a meal or a memory, requires that we are fully present in that moment, that we're not wandering with our thinking and our minds, right? So cultivating or making memories. The other I shared with you was cultivating experiences. There's a time in our life, and it's usually in our early years of our careers and building a home, that we need to acquire stuff. I mean, there's certain basic things in life that make life work a little bit better. Like, it's kind of nice to have a car to get from point A to point B. It's kind of nice to have a washing machine and not have to go out to a laundromat to do it, right? So there's some basic things that it's nice to have. And there's a period in our life where we may be more on the acquiring stage of life. But if we're not careful, we can live in that mode forever when we don't need to, and it ceases to become particularly fulfilling. And it's not about necessities anymore. It's that point in our life when we really start to get, wait a minute, it's about the experiences that I'm having. I was talking to our son Jonathan just the other day, and we were talking about some of our favorite experiences and times as a family around Christmas or holidays, and so much of it has been about creating experiences for one another. And I wish I remembered the statistic he gave me. He works for Uber in their trust and safety department, and they do an awful lot of analyzing data and trends among populations. And he was saying how this year, more than at any other year and across all generations, more and more people are looking at what can I give as an experience, as a gift for Christmas, than something I physically put in a box. I think that's wonderful. So what are the experiences that you are cultivating in your life? And how do you share that with another? How do you share that with another? To cultivate an experience requires some creativity, yes. And it also requires probably a little more time and effort. It requires showing up and being present in that other's life. And the third that I want to share with you, because remember, I'm going to talk about others next Sunday, is what lessons are you learning and how are you growing? One of the things I know for sure is that the investment that we make in our soul's growth is an investment that can never be taken away from us in any way, shape, or form. I believe the investments that we make in our soul's growth not only can never be taken away in this life experience, but I believe that they never disappear from this life experience to the next life experience. The lessons that you learn, whether it's at the heels of practicing forgiveness or it is understanding your own uniqueness and the divinity within you and within another, whatever those lessons are that you have learned, make you who and what you are from the deepest level of your heart and soul. And it is what carries forward into every life experience. And so I ask you to be thinking about how are you learning? What are you learning? Some lessons are easier to learn than others. Would you not agree? Would you not agree? Yeah. And some lessons are pretty painful, right? I invite you to think for a moment about some of the most painful lessons you've learned. You wouldn't want to re-experience the pain, I'm sure. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to re-experience whatever was the cause of the pain. But would you not say that what you learned as a result of that has molded and shaped who you are today and has strengthened you in a way that maybe you could never have gotten to without that particular experience? Nobody and nothing can ever take away that learning from you. And that learning, that experience will keep you strong and steady through whatever life throws you on your path. And so I leave you with the strong invitation to cultivate those experiences of learning. And if one of those experiences of learning that you're going through right now is a particularly difficult one or painful one, make sure you eke out every single ounce of learning from it so that you can leave the pain behind and carry forward the richness of a soul and a consciousness that has evolved as a result of that experience. And so as we spend time together in December looking at connecting with not only what really matters, but connecting with others and connecting with our life purpose, I hope you'll keep your mind and your heart open and refreshed. I hope you'll be willing to look at what's your bigger yes burning inside you so that you can say no to the things that it's time to let go of. Bless you and namaste.
The Unity Center. Spiritually progressive, socially responsive, radically inclusive. We have services on Sundays at 9 and 11. Many people enjoy Reverend Wendy's talks and meditations and aren't able to attend the Unity Center in person. If you're part of our extended family from around the world and would like to help support the Unity Center, please go to our website or download our free app, which offers even more ways to connect with the Unity Center. Namaste.